many of you guys are here because you want to grow your business in 23? How many of you guys are growing but want to grow faster? How many of you are just a complete mess and you just need some direction? That's what I thought. So really the goal for our time together here, and I know we've got cocktails waiting, so I won't drag this out too long, but my goal for the session and being here with you guys is to give you some clarity. And one of the things that, if you have the opportunity to connect and kind of what we do from a coaching dynamic is it's principle driven. Meaning it doesn't matter if you guys want to start a snow cone stand tomorrow, it's the same thing applies. It doesn't matter. And I laugh, I tell that joke, but my brother-in-law started a snow cone stand over the summer, and he applies all these principles and all the things that we teach how to run a successful real estate business. It's principle driven. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. When you have a solid foundation, it doesn't matter if the market is doing what it did the last 2 or 3 years or where it's going now, getting back to a normal type market. I'm always curious. How many of you were licensed before 2019? Okay, how many licensed since 2019? Okay, it's about balance. All right, so this will be fun. So that's my goal, for you guys to have some takeaways and get some value from the session. And if not, then we can have some cocktails and we can look like this guy strutting around. I don't know why I think that's the funniest damn slide ever. He's just got I don't know, that's fun. Anyways. So who the heck is this John Gibson's guy? I'm a coach's kid. I grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma. My dad was in the public school system for 48 years. And, in Lawton, Oklahoma, and for 48 years in the public school system, you don't make much money. And I saw my dad's paychecks, and I was like, holy shit, we live off of that? And, for that to even come together and make ends meet meant he had to coach everything. He coached football, and it was into girls basketball, then it was into golf, and then it was, I got to take care of the facilities during the summer, so it never stopped. So as a kid growing up, if I wanted to spend time with my dad, meant I had to get in the truck, I had to go to practice, I had to be there on the court. And I was the kid that got athletic tape to the ceiling. I've been locked in more lockers than I care to share, and yet that experience being around my dad and being around those coaches just really, I didn't really understand what it was doing at the time, but I could understand and start to see the power of what one human can have to another. And that was just something that really kind of stuck with me. And as kind of growing up and, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? It's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I want to coach, yet I am not getting into the school system to coach. Hell no, right? And so that just was one of the things that kind of always stuck with me. And it really formed a belief. And the belief in me is that everybody on this planet needs a great coach in their life. I truly believe that. I know what's a great coach in our life makes our life better. Another belief that was kind of still coming up in my career is, for your business to be better, you have to be better. Right? The size of your business is in direct proportion to the size of your leadership capabilities. If your business is not where you want it to be today, it's because you're not where you need to be today. Does that make sense? Okay. And then the other belief, you can't lead and coach another human until you can lead and coach yourself first. And then also, there's a code and sequence to unlock anything. So we'll give you guys kind of a foundational sequence that'll apply to your business. Doesn't matter if you're on a team, if you're riding solo, or if you're leading a team. And we heard some of the ladies up there talking about staying in alignment to who you are at your core. The reason that is important with what they were saying is because this business gets real hard, real fast, as you guys have probably experienced just in the last 90 days. And if you're not in alignment to who you are and doing what you do, it's not sustainable. You will not push through when it gets tough. And really understanding who you are at your core and why you do what you do. And for me, it's really to inspire and challenge people to think bigger, right? If you're not happy with your present situation, it's because your future is not big enough. I'll say that again. You are not happy with your current situation is because your future is not big enough. You do not have a big enough future. For your present to be better, your future has to be bigger. And so I want to challenge you guys a little bit today as you're kind of thinking through that, because I promise you, the number one constraint that we all have in our business is in our thinking. And I promise you, everyone in this room is not thinking big enough, including Cindy. I've got some ideas to challenge her to think bigger. And that is super important, because if you want reality to be better, your future has to be bigger. And for me, it's all about transformation. It's seeing the transformation in her, seeing the transformation in you, because as you transform, your business will as well. A little backstory, college dropout. I went to Cameron there in Lawton. Supposed to play golf. I ended up on the drinking team instead of the golf team. And my aunt thought that was not a very good idea. And so she sucked me to California, and that was my real schooling out there. She was at a semi-private resort golf club where she lived at. And have you guys ever had just like a really incredible mentor or boss that just like really poured into you? Now that was for me. Kathy was the head pro there at the golf course, and I came in just one of the attendants behind the counter, and got to know each other, and she's like, you're really good at teaching golf. You can play golf, you can all that. You're great with the clients. But she goes, you don't know shit about anything else. I said, okay, hey, thanks, Kathy, I appreciate that. She said, no, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna spend time in the restaurant. You're gonna spend time in lodging. You're gonna be back there in the kitchen. You're gonna, over there in the bar. You're gonna understand all the dynamics. You're gonna go spend time with the superintendent. And what that taught me was really how to run a business and all of the inner workings in the behind the scenes, right? You got your front of the house, the back of the house. What she was teaching me was the back of the house, of really how to operate and run the business. And I'll never forget that, and it really helped me transform everything I did. And just like Lawton, Oklahoma, it always sucks you back, right? I mean, how many people have left home and they end up getting sucked back at some point? And that happened to me. My best friends out of high school, they were serial entrepreneurs, and they sucked me back in. And I worked with them on the operational side. And we took, at the time, they had a couple ideas, and we took them to profitability, and we flipped them. And in 2003, we sold our last one. About a 13-month adventure. We started a trash company, and then we ended up selling it to Waste Connections. And we were sitting there at the end of 03, and we're like, well, what do we want to do? And my buddy goes, hey man, the place around the corner is for sale. We'd like to go in there and drink beer. Why don't we just buy it? How many of you guys have ever owned a bar or thinking of owning a bar? That's the worst damn idea that you could ever have in your life. So we started January 1, 2004. 128 straight days later, you have to check yourself when you walk in. So I was the guy, operational guy, I was the guy who came in, I set up the bar. I had, my son was going to be 2 that year, my daughter was on the way. And I could walk in and immediately know what happened the night before. And when you start to walk over and you walk in, you're like, go over to the bar and you pour a double crown on the rocks to start your day. You might need a change. And so that was for me. And my buddy there to the left of me, Mr. Michael Reese, him and I go back to junior high school days. He found out that I was about to make a jump, and he introduced me to that guy on the end, Mr. Jay Kinder. And Jay and I got hooked up in October of 04, and the last 18 years have been fun. So we grew and scaled Lawton. We ended up selling the brokers there in Lawton, and then we went from scratch out of Frisco, Texas, and made a good run there. Then overall, on the operational and in the trenches for about 4,300 total transactions. Next month will be 11 years that I started actually personally one-on-one coaching. And in that time frame, I just updated that number. I had 4 coaching calls on the drive down I'm in Oklahoma City now, so on the drive down I had 4 coaching calls. So I'm now at 14,500 one-on-one coaching sessions. And I say that because it just gives me a unique perspective. There's not a situation that I have not seen either personally in our brokerages or coached people through. Like, there is not a situation. And you can try me if you want when we have drinks here in a little bit. I promise you, there's been everything I've dealt with. I've had an opportunity to work with some amazing people. Like I said, Cindy and I have been working together. We're in our 8th year of working together, working with some rock stars all over the country, plus hundreds of others. Enough of that. Here's what's on the agenda. So here's what I want to give you guys. I'm going to talk you guys through these 4 key foundational things that you need to be thinking about. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get to your first 6 figures in real estate, if you're trying to scale to 7 figures plus, whatever it is you're trying to do, you want to always kind of check through these boxes, right? So we're going to hit vision. We're going to talk about model. We're going to talk about strategy, and then we're going to talk about people. And then after this presentation, I've got a little download, or you can get on a wait list for a download for a project that Cindy and I are doing together. And then I'm going to kind of then really drive you at the end to fill out a survey for Cindy. You guys cool with that? You able to fill that out for her? Okay, so we'll do that at the end. All right, so let's talk about vision, because this is where it starts. So from a vision standpoint, what we have to understand is that where is it that you're trying to go? When you look at kind of 2 worlds, if you want to follow me here for a second with this concept, is that we have to be moving into a known direction, right? So every one of you in this room, where is it that you're wanting to go? What is that destination that you're trying to get to? What is point B? We're currently at point A. What is point B for you? And the reason that that's so important is because if you lose sight of where you're trying to go, you just end up in a circular kind of pattern, a circular world. And if you stay in that circular world for too long, you're going to wake up 2, 3, 5 years from now and you're in the same damn place. How many of you want to be in the same damn place 3 years from now? Yeah, nobody. Everybody wants to grow. You wouldn't be in this room if you didn't want to grow. So what is your point B? And it's not really what point B is. It's really what it does. And so when we talk vision, we break vision down into three key components, okay? And this is the most important thing. What are your core values? How do you behave? What do you believe at your core? Okay? What would you be willing to almost fight somebody over? You ladies have just an amazing gift. And I like to call it, I mean, you got a built-in bullshit detector. And so think about it when you're around another human being and the energy feels off. Like women instinctively, that just is natural. Us guys, we can do it, but it takes a little work. What is happening is that there's a core value misalignment, meaning that other person that is around you, they're not true to who they are. They're not being authentic. They're not being genuine to who they are at their core. Okay. So what are your core values? So examples. These are our core values. We've got like two others, but these are some good examples. One is growth mindset, meaning that you are always looking to grow personally and professionally. And one of my favorite questions is, what's the last book did you read, and why did you choose to read it? And if you can't answer that question, then we don't have a future together. I just cannot be around somebody that's not willing to grow. Growth mindset. The other is add value, make a difference. And why is this important is that in everything that we do, we're always looking to add value and make a difference. If you're running a team, why this is so important is that you're giving your team decision-making filters of how to make better decisions. So when your team, you're not available because you're out, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and they're like, damn, I got to make a decision. Well, is it going to add value and make a difference? Yes. Then you make the decision. The outcome might not be desired, and we can learn from that, but your intent was to add value and make a difference. Does that make sense? Decision-making filters. 3 is 100-0. Means we're 100% accountable for all of our activities, 0 excuses. And really where this is really important, and something to maybe even think about yourself, is what is your relationship with the mirror versus what is your relationship with the window. Too many people like to look out the window and point blame at everybody else instead of looking in the mirror and pointing back at themselves. If you want to make the most growth this year, I challenge you to value that relationship with the mirror a little bit more than you do with the window. 100-0. Kind, candid communication. We had, I changed that because when we were at NAEA, it was open and real. You got to be careful because open and real can be used as a weapon. Meaning, I'm just giving you some tough love, and sometimes it can come across, there's a right way to do it, and sometimes it's like, hey man, I'm just being open and real. I'm like, no, you're not. You're being a douchebag, right? So like, we want to be candid, but we want to be kind about it. Leaders creating leaders. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to pour and grow people around us, and results driven. That's my own thing. I don't micromanage. We agree on the outcome, and we either get the outcome or we don't. If we don't, we'll dissect why we're not getting it. But we always focus on results. So number one of that big vision that you guys got to have is its core values first. Then what is your purpose? Why does the company exist? Why does the hit group exist in the market? And a better question is, if the hit group shut down tomorrow, would anybody care? Are you making a difference in your community? Third is BHAG, right? So these three things make up your vision. What are your values? What do you stand for? How do you behave? 2, why does your company exist? And then 3, what is the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? And you want a measurable behind it. And for us, it's impact of number of human beings. We have a deal on the coaching side, legacy legends. So our whole team in our company, we're trying to create as many legends as possible. And we have a way to measure that. You have to find what is that BHAG for you. Here's the problem, is that a lot of you are sitting in here, you're like, great, you're gonna talk to me about vision, and you're like, I don't even know how I'm gonna make my mortgage payment next month. I get that. But you have to have a reason in what you're trying to do beyond survival. Because once your financial needs are met, statistically, everybody takes their foot off the gas. And what is it going to keep your foot on the gas? Now, sink or swim, I get that. But what if you don't have to sink or swim? What if this is just something in addition to? What if you are not the breadwinner? Then what's going to push you through when it gets hard? Everything in life is uphill. And you have to be intentional in why are you doing what you're doing? And here's the thing. It can be to make somebody proud, or it can be to prove somebody wrong. I believe you got to have both. See, the person you're trying to make proud, that's sustainable. The person you're trying to give the double Kid Rock to, double middle fingers for a lot of you don't know who Kid Rock is, we always want to prove somebody wrong. And that's okay. In fact, that can be the best form of ignition and fuel that you'll ever have to be able to leverage that. So utilize that. But the problem is that you're looking through a current lens of your current financial situation. That's what you're making decisions on. You probably weigh the decision if you should come here or not based upon your current financial situation. I'm glad you made it, because I promise just the nuggets that the lady shared up here can change your business this year if you just apply one of them to your business. So if you remove the filter of your current financial situation, what would you do? If you had $10 million liquid in the bank, what would you do? What would you do? That's your goal. That's your BHAG. All right. So we have our vision. Now, what's the model? Right? What is the model for our business? How are we going to make money? Okay? Does everybody know the main goal of business? Number two is to make a profit, is to make money, right? It means we have to go acquire a client. We have to go get clients that will pay us so we can make money, right? Have a set amount that we spend, profit, cash. The real goal of your business, though, guys, is freedom. And everybody's definition of freedom in this room is different. Everybody's definition of freedom is different. Cindy's is different than mine. It's different than anybody else in this room. Are you designing and building your business to utilize as a vehicle that's going to get you closer to your freedom? Period. That's how you have to think about what you're doing. You're not doing this for survival to put this, but it's like, what are we working for? Like, what is freedom? And so everybody has a number. Everybody has a number. I promise you that everybody in this room does not want to be 93 still showing houses. What is your exit plan? What is the exit strategy? And how are you designing this business to help you get to that exit? And everybody has a number. And so you just have to know what your number is. And what I mean by that is, right now, how many of you, if you don't sell houses, you don't get paid? Right? We're dancing bears, right? If we don't dance, we don't get paid, right? If I don't coach, I don't get paid. But I promise you, at some point, you want to stop dancing. And you want to be able to stop trading time for dollars, and you want money that you've invested or revenue stream opportunities that are coming in the door while you don't have to dance. I promise you that you guys will all want that. So how are you designing and building your business in order to be able to move you closer to your freedom? So when we say business model, the definition describes of how your business creates, delivers, and captures value. That's all you need to be thinking about. Is like, what is my value proposition to my ideal client? What am I going to create that? How am I going to deliver it? And then how am I going to capture that value? So you have a promise that you can make to a seller. The seller believes that you can help the seller achieve what they're trying to achieve. You deliver on that, you get paid. That's your model. Make sense? And so the 9 building blocks for business model, and when you guys fill out the survey, I'll make sure Cindy sends you guys a copy of the slide deck. Okay, so you guys have all the slides. So the building blocks, one is customer segments. Who is your client? Who are your clients? If you're growing a team, you got to provide buyers and sellers. Maybe you work with investors. Maybe you have a builder. But the agents are your clients as well. So who are your clients? What is the value that you provide to your clients? What's the value that you provide? The channels are, how do you get your message out? Right? We heard direct mail. We heard social media. What are all the ways? Door knocking, open houses, whatever it is. How do you get your message out to your ideal client? How do you manage those relationships? What are all your revenue streams? Key resources, key activities, key partnerships, and then what is your budget? How many of you guys have a set budget that you look at, how much money it costs you to break even to run your business and run your life? Homework for all of you, if you didn't raise your hand, you've got to know your numbers. You've got to know, even if you don't like knowing your numbers, know your numbers. Know your numbers. I mean, there's apps that you can just plug your accounts into, and it'll give you a breakdown of what you're spending every month. Go in there, cancel the shit that you don't use, and then now start to form your budget. But you have to know what it costs to run your business and run your life. Period. Okay? Get clear on that. So once we have, and like I said, there's a code and a sequence, right? Everything works together. So once we know where it is, what we're trying to achieve, who we're going to work with, how we're going to provide value, how we're going to solve problems. Okay? Money exchanges hands when problems are solved. When you help a seller solve their problem, you get paid. When you help a buyer solve their problem, getting into a home, you get paid. When you help a builder move some properties, you get paid. And think about that, right? Who can I help solve a problem today? Because that's how I'm going to get paid. Help solve problems. Once we have that, what is our plan? Right? What is our plan to execute? And when people say strategy, you can kind of, what does that mean? What is your plan? A good plan is really simple. It identifies the biggest obstacles that you face. What are your biggest problems? What are your biggest challenges? What's stopping you? Everybody in the room said that you want to go faster. What's stopping you to go faster? Those are the things that you should be working on. Hey, I don't have enough leads. Great. Our strategy, our plan is to get more leads. So what are we going to do to get more leads? Hey, I've got a lot of leads, but I cannot convert them. Okay, well, what are we going to do to convert them? So really being clear on what your issues are. We all got issues, right? How many of you know exactly what your issues are in your business, why your business is not growing? You've got to be reflective on that. You've got to be really thinking through, where am I stuck? Where am I stuck in my business? Why is my business not growing? So being able to have that, that's a good strategy. A bad one, you just head in the sand, you don't even pay attention to what the challenge is. That's a bad plan, that's a bad strategy. So if you're working with Cindy's going to say, hey, what are your goals? What are your challenges? What's your plan to overcome those challenges to hit your goal? That's a good plan. You guys tracking with me? Mm-hmm. See, this is normal. Like I get this like glazed look because you guys are deep in thought right now, right? That's good. You have to be reflective of it because without awareness, it's impossible to make a change. And so hopefully it sparks some awareness of where you're not showing up, where you're coming up short, where you're not playing all out. All right? So bad strategy. And then finally, this is probably maybe the most important one. Yeah, it's important to know where we want to go. It's important to, know who we want to work with, how we're going to make money, plan of how we're going to do it. But the people component is probably the most important one. And so what I like to say is that when we're working top down, is that we have this plan, right? We have these goals. Do I have the team to help me execute on this to achieve what we're trying to achieve? You're not going to get there by yourself. Yeah, I know you're riding solo, but I promise you have support and you have leverage and you have people around you. And so it's really, really, really important to make sure that you surround yourself. And this is probably one of my favorite quotes ever, is that you guys, if you take a hard look at the people that are around you, if they don't inspire you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. And I promise you that there's somebody right now that's an anchor that's dragging you down. And it could be either health, wealth, or relationships, right? Those are the three happiness buckets. But I promise you there's somebody in there that's an anchor that's holding you back, that if you freed up their future, that you could go faster. And that could be personally, that could be in your business, but you've got to look at that and you've got to move away from people that are not growing with you, that are holding you back. You've got to free them up, free you up so you can move. So it's really all about your people. And your number one metric is the percentage of key seats on your bus filled with the right people for those seats. So Jesse Itzler, many of you guys know Jesse. He's married to Sarah Blakely. And he is probably one of the most, him and McConaughey are probably the most fascinating humans ever. And he does all these crazy endurance things. And he owns part owner of the Atlanta Hawks. And he has this life analogy. He's like, the day we're born, our bus is rolling. And, we're seated on the bus somewhere. And the bus already has people on it, right? Our parents, grandparents, siblings, whatever. And as the bus keeps going, our job is, as people start to get off the bus and people get on the bus, but our job is to make sure that we're putting the people that are on our bus in the right seats on our bus. And it's also our job that we've got people that don't belong on the bus to kick their ass off the bus. And it's also to grab people to put them on the bus. And that's your number one responsibility as a leader. And every one of you in here is a leader. You're leading your family, you're leading either a team, you're leading team members, you're leading in your community. Your number one responsibility is that you have the right people in the right seats around you. And not only within your business, but like I said, with your life. And who are you surrounding yourself with matters more than anything. If you hang around 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. And the other thing is if you hang around 5 deadbeat broke losers, you're going to be the 6th. It just works that way. So be really intentional of who you spend time with and where you give your energy. Okay, so we have vision, we have our model, we have our plan, and we have the right people. And we have the right people to execute the plan within the model in pursuit of the vision. You see how that works? So where you need to be thinking about is, where are you the weakest in one of those 4 areas right now? Are you not clear of where you want to go? Are you lost? There's no direction? Or do you not know who your clients are, or how to go get them and how to monetize it? Or do you don't have a plan? You need a plan. Or you think you've got a plan, maybe it's not a good one. And then, do you have the right people? And where I would tell you to start is get clear on where you want to go and go get the right people. Because the right people will help you figure out the model and help you figure out the vision. So where do you want to go, and who's riding with you? Okay, cool. So this is an awesome little project that Cindy and I are co-authoring together, and it's actually 6-figure agent. And so I co-authored a chapter in there. Cindy did as well. And mine's really speaking to developing the discipline to achieve your desired outcome. And so what I want to do for you guys, if you think that would be valuable, click on that and register. So it'll be out in the next 60 days. So if you will, on there, if you register for mine, I'll make sure Cindy gets the list as well, so you guys can get that chapter as well. Okay? So I want to give you guys wrap up with this one little thing. So I'll be 46 this year. So when I was getting ready to turn 40, I had one of those, I got to do something challenging. And not because I was turning 40, but because when I was 11, I lost my mom to breast cancer. And she was 2 months shy of turning 40. So she was still 39. And as I was getting ready to turn 40, I was kind of being really reflective on that. And I'm like, I want to do something challenging. I don't know why I ended up deciding this, but I ended up deciding I wanted to run a marathon. And keep in mind, like the farthest a 5K was like, hell no, I ain't running no 5K. Right? Run around the block? No, I ain't running around the block. And so, but I just had this like, man, I got to do something really tough to really challenge myself. And so, I couldn't just run the Dallas Marathon. I had to run the New York City Marathon. And any runners in here? Are there any runners? Okay. So I'm a turtle. And so as a turtle, you can't just apply and get to run New York City. And it's, you either are a resident and get on the lottery and good luck, or you go the investment route. You go the sponsorship route. And they're looking for charities and they're looking for donations, and they will get you a ticket to the race. And I'm like, hey, there's a way, I'm in. We'll figure it out, right? We can figure everything out. And so I got signed up, and I ended up finding it. It was called Spread's Team, which is the Cancer Research Center there in New York City. And so I'm like, this is perfect. I'm doing this to honor my mom. She died of cancer. With the Cancer Center, this is meant to be. And ended up going out and raising money for that and being able to have that experience. But going through the process, what I started to learn was that when you spend a lot of time, how far have you gone? What's the farthest distance? Halves? Okay. So training, you get a lot of quiet time, a lot of time to think and reflect. And as I was going through that process, I started to reflect on my dad. And I was like, man, what he had to go through, because my dad, remarried for 25 years after losing my mom, and then he lost her to cancer as well. And I was like, shit, I couldn't imagine burying my best friend once, let alone twice. And so it really became more about him and really honoring him through that process. And we were able to take him to New York City. He had never been, so it was an incredible experience. And we get through in New York City, and I'm actually seeing Jesse Itzler from stage. And if you guys ever get an opportunity at an event, and Jesse Itzler is speaking, do not miss, go see him. He's probably one of the best speakers from stage. And have you ever been in a room or at a conference or an event and you feel like the speaker is speaking directly to you? Yeah, I was in that moment. And he said, one of the worst things for us as human beings is to accomplish something significant, a big challenge, and not immediately reset the goal. See, I believe you're either growing or you're dying. And if you're complacent, or if you're comfortable, or if you're satisfied, right? Satisfied is just the cousin of complacency. And complacency is not growing. So if you believe you're either growing or you're dying, then you know what complacency is. And he said that's the worst thing as human beings that we can do. We can't, not immediately resetting the goal to be bigger. And so I pondered on that for a little bit, and my buddy Michael Reese, in typical Michael Reese fashion, sends me a text message to a link to Ironman Texas. Ironman Florida, 10-year anniversary. I'm like, what the hell is Ironman? How many of you, is anybody done triathlons? No? Yes? So I'm going through that, and I'm like, okay, well, I believe that you don't commit and figure it out. I believe you get clear on what you want, and then you reverse engineer, and is that something you're willing to commit to? And so I'm unpacking Ironman, and I'm like 2.4 miles in the water. I'm like, the only time I'm in the water is like when you flip the life preserver upside down and you're bobbing there with the beer. That's the only time I'd get in the water. And then 112 miles on the bike. I'm like, I haven't been on a bike since my bike got stolen when I was 14. And then I'm like 26.2 at the marathon. I know what that is. That sucks. And so it was one of those things to unpack. And I share that because as you guys are setting big goals, it's important to reverse engineer down to what it's going to take within your control to achieve it. And then ask yourself, is that something you're willing to commit to? Right? I hear it all the time. Hey, I want to sell 100 houses. Do you want to sell 100 houses? Or like, what is the real goal? And so when we looked at it with Ironman, that was something to commit to. And I was like, I got this, right? I got this. And I downloaded a training because I downloaded a training to run a marathon. So I downloaded a training to finish an Ironman. And I'm going at it. And I get about 2 months out. And I'm like, I am lost. Like, what is a transition? How do I get my bike to Florida? Like, all of these just basic 101 questions. And it was one of the in the mirror moments. And I'm like, you're the biggest jackass ever. You're a coach. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm an idiot. That night, I set it up, interviewed a couple coaches, ended up pulling the trigger, and was able to make that experience happen. And it was all because of, not trying to figure it out, right? And my point of the story is that when it gets tough, don't try to go alone. Don't try to base it off of YouTube channel and try to do it yourself. Get a coach, okay? What a great coach will do for you is help you see what you don't see. We all have blind spots. And a great coach will be able to see what you don't see and put the mirror in front of your face. They're also great resources, and most importantly, they help collapse time, really be able to collapse time. So for me, being able to do that, have that experience, and without a coach, I would have never got 3 full Ironmans, and now we're on to this 100-mile adventure. So coach helped me get 100 miles this summer, and we've got 300-mile races coming up, and it's not possible without a great coach. That's my point to you guys, right? Running a business, running your life, that shit's hard. Running 100 miles is hard. Everything is hard. But if you have a great team and great coaches around you, you can achieve it. We're at John Kitchen's Coach everywhere. If you guys haven't got connected, we drop podcast. We have the podcast, Coach Code Podcast. We drop a podcast every day. I've got 2 or 3 lives we're doing on YouTube all the time. Tons and tons of content. And check it out at John Kitchen's Coach everywhere. We'd love for you guys to get connected. And here's our bribe. We want you guys to pull out your phones.